The Centralized Crew Alerting System, CCAS, gives an oral and visual warning when any non-normal situation occurs. CCAS has 4 alert levels, is based on a dual-channel computer, and uses the lights out philosophy on the flight deck. CCAS identifies malfunctions in the aircraft system by alerting the crew and clearly identifying the malfunction. Local sensors send information to the local alerts and to the CCAS. The CCAS consists of a crew alerting computer, CAC, and a crew alerting panel, CAP. Now answer this question before continuing with the lesson. CCAS monitors all the aircraft systems and alerts crew of system failures, malfunctions, and hazards, for example, landing gear not down, stick shaker, or angle of attack. CCAS alerts identify the level of urgency and the system failure without confusion to enable the appropriate corrective action to be taken. The role of the CAC is to receive and process system failures and flight envelope protection signals, and to generate oral and visual alerts. There are 3 types of visual device. These are the master warning and master caution lights, the crew alerting panel, and the local alerts. What is the role of the CAC? Let's now look at the visual devices. Visual devices are attention getters that work in combination with oral signals, include the master warning and master caution lights, and enable the crew to detect a failure and identify the level of urgency. Failure lights help identify the urgency by color coding, either red or amber. Which of these lights do you think would indicate a master warning? Alerts must be acknowledged by selecting either the master warning or master caution light. Click on the flashing light to acknowledge the alert. CCAS recognizes the crew's action and then cancels the flashing light, cancels the oral alert, which will be discussed later, but leaves the relevant alert illuminated on the CAP. The CAP is located on the center instrument panel and shows all the necessary lights to identify a failure. The lights provide condensed information about system failures and abnormal configurations. This example shows a problem in the anti-icing system. The local alerts are mostly located on the overhead panel, show more detailed information on the failure, and guide the crew to take any corrective action needed. The local alert lights are usually presented in the push button of the affected system and are totally independent of the CCAS. Where are the local alerts usually found? The CAC is supplied by DC power and generates the aural alerts. The digital part of the CAC is powered by DC bus 1 and serves the master caution and master warning systems and the CAP. The hard-wired part, or analog part, of the CAC is powered by the DC essential bus and serves the master warning system and the master warning on the CAP. Can you remember if this statement is true or false? CCAS has 4 levels of alert. We will describe each of these, starting with level 3. A level 3 alert consists of warnings, hazardous configurations and limiting flight conditions. For example, a stall warning. Note that level 3 alerts require immediate attention. This alert consists of a master warning light flashing red, a continuous repetitive chime known as CRC, a red warning light on the CAP, and specific aural warnings for hazardous configurations or limiting conditions. A Level 2 alert is a caution that is triggered by an abnormal system situation, requiring timely crew action, but has no immediate impact on safety. This alert consists of the master caution lights flashing amber, a single chime, and an amber caution light on the CAP. Note, however, that Level 2 does not include the following systems: the ground proximity warning system, the CCAS, the parking brake, and the maintenance panel. Level 1 alerts require crew monitoring and consist of failures leading to a system loss or a loss of redundancy or system degradation. This alert consists of a local light illuminated in amber and triggers the ground proximity warning system, the parking brake, the CCAS, and the maintenance panel faults on the CAP. Which level of alert triggers a continuous repetitive chime? Level 0 alerts require no special action and consist of blue, green and white lights on the control panel. Some typical examples of Level 0 include the memo panel lights on the center instrument panel, off lights, landing gear panel lights, and call lights on the overhead panel. Here are some example CAP displays. Match the alert level labels with the CAP displays. Which of these descriptions best describes a level 0 alert? Now we will have a look at oral alerts. There are 3 types of oral alert: master warning and master caution alerts, and specific oral alerts with specific operational significance not found on the CAP. Here is your opportunity to identify the type of alert, either warning or caution, and the sound of each specific oral alert. Click on the type of alert boxes provided. In the case of simultaneous alerts, the CCAS follows this list of priorities when it triggers alarms. The CAP is split into zones. Zone 1 consists of the red lights and is monitored by 2 channels of the CAC. Zone 2 consists of the amber lights and is monitored by the digital part of the CAC. Zone 3 consists of the bottom amber lights and is not monitored by the CAC. In addition to the lights, there are 3 push buttons on the CAP. They are the recall push button, the clear push button, and the takeoff inhibit push button. Now click on each push button to find out more. The recall push button must be depressed before descent to check the aircraft's status. It illuminates all inhibited or cancelled caution lights if the system is still degraded. The clear push button clears all amber Zone 2 lights and must be used to clear any amber light after its fault has been corrected. We will look at the operation of the clear push button in more detail shortly. As mentioned, we will now consider the operation of the clear push button. Rectify the local fault, then clear the CAP. The takeoff inhibit push button is depressed just before takeoff by the captain. The inhibit light illuminates in blue, instructs the CAC to inhibit various warnings and cautions, is automatically cancelled when the landing gear starts to retract, and may be cancelled manually by depressing the recall push button. The CAC inhibits the following lights during takeoff: engine oil and smoke warning lights, all amber lights except Zone 1 amber lights, which are not controlled by the CAC, and EFIS comparison, and all associated aural alerts. Which push button is depressed before descent to check the aircraft status? When would you depress the takeoff inhibit push button? Depressing the clear push button clears which zone of caution lights? The emergency audio cancel switch is located on the pedestal, is guarded with a safety wire, and is used to cancel unjustified aural alerts triggered by a fault. An unjustified aural alert has just been triggered. Your first action is to select the master warning light to silence the alert. Do this now. The aural alert has not been cancelled. You must now perform the second action. Select the emergency audio cancel switch. Selecting the emergency audio cancel push button cancels the specific audio alert, even if the fault recurs. Other aurals are not affected. Here is another example. Propeller pitch decreases and increases, causing the low pitch light to illuminate and extinguish, and the engine light to illuminate on the CAP, and the single chime to repeat. To stop this, select the emergency audio cancel switch. The aural alert remains cancelled until the next aircraft energization or CAC reset, except for the following functions: landing gear not down, VMO, VFE and VLE overspeed conditions, stall warning and pitch trim wooler. These systems rearm automatically if the fault recurs. There is no need to wait for CAC reset. With a few exceptions, when are unjustified aural alerts reset? which unjustified oral alerts are reset automatically when a fault situation recurs. Next, we will describe the takeoff configuration test. The takeoff configuration test push button is located next to the emergency audio cancel switch. The test is performed after starting the second engine according to the checklist in order to check that the aircraft configuration is correct for takeoff. The test simulates a takeoff power lever setting, but does not take into account the parking brake position. If the aircraft is not in the correct takeoff configuration and the takeoff configuration test button is depressed, the configuration light illuminates, the master warning light flashes and the CRC sounds, and the associated lights on the CAP illuminate. The associated lights on the CAP are flight control, which illuminates if the pitch trim is not in the green arc range, or if the flaps are not in the correct takeoff configuration, and the engine light, which illuminates if the power management is not set to the takeoff position. When a takeoff configuration test is performed, is the parking brake configuration checked? When the power levers are moved forward, all the aircraft configurations are checked, along with the parking brake configuration. If the parking brake is still set, the configuration light illuminates at power setting. Now let's look at the flight envelope protections. In the event of an overspeed, the overspeed alert consisting of the clacker is activated. Overspeed conditions are VMO at 230 knots, VLE at 170 knots, that is the maximum speed allowed with the landing gear down, and VFE at flaps 15, 170 knots, at flaps 30, 150 knots, and flaps 45, 130 knots. A stall condition is sensed by the two angle of attack AOA vanes. And triggers the stall warning consisting of the cricket oral alert. Stall warnings are activated by stick shakers located at the bottom of each control column and driven by electric motors. A stall warning takes place in normal atmospheric conditions when the angle of attack reaches 12.5 degrees. The stick pusher is activated when the angle of attack increases from 12.5 degrees and reaches 15 degrees. It is activated by an electrical actuator located on the captain's side column. Which of the following triggers a stall warning? Under icing conditions, the stick shaker value is 7.5 degrees. The stick pusher value remains 15 degrees. And the icing conditions are taken into account by the Ccas when the icing AOA light is illuminated. During and after takeoff, the icing AOA stall alert threshold is 8.5 degrees. This changes to 7.5 degrees 10 minutes after liftoff or when the flaps are retracted to 0. The following are inhibited on the ground: the stall alarm, the stick shaker and stick pusher. Stick pusher activation is also inhibited until 10 seconds after liftoff. Listen to the oral alert and select the alert associated with it. Here we will describe the 3 alert levels and associated actions, starting with a level 3 alert. Before proceeding, try this question. What oral and visual indications form a level 3 alert? A level 3 alert is described here together with the associated pilot actions. The master warning is triggered and the associated CAP light illuminates. The pilot's sequence of actions is as follows. The pilot not flying checks the overhead panel for further fault information. This example illustrates an engine 1 fire. The pilot flying cross-checks that engine 1 fire handle is illuminated and cross-checks that the fuel shut-off light is illuminated in the affected condition lever. After all the cross-checks are completed, the pilot flying cancels the master warning. Do this now. The immediate pilot action is to apply the memory items until Agent 1 discharge. First, set the affected power lever to idle. The second step is to set the affected condition lever to the feather position and then to the fuel shut-off position. Step 3. Pull the Engine 1 fire handle. Finally, after 10 seconds, select the Agent 1 push button to discharge. Good. The fire is now extinguished. Now you must land as soon as possible. A Level 2 alert is described here, together with the associated pilot actions. In addition to the master caution lights and oral caution, the associated CAP light illuminates, in this case indicating a fault in the electrical system. The pilot's sequence of actions is as follows. The pilot not flying checks the overhead panel and identifies the DC generator 1 fault. And the pilot flying cross-checks and confirms the DC generator 1 fault. After all the cross-checks are completed, the pilot flying cancels the master caution. Do this now. The pilot then follows the checklist. You can do this now. First, select the DC generator 1 push button to off, then clear the CAP. Note that Level 3 alerts represent only one failure, so there is no need to clear the CAP. However, Level 2 alerts represent many failures, therefore the CAP must be cleared. Clear the CAP. The CAP has been cleared. Which pilot cancels the master caution? Level 1 alerts trigger the associated CAP light. They do not trigger the master warning or master caution systems. And, finally, do not require immediate action. However, the pilots must monitor the situation. In this lesson, we will describe how to perform the Ccas test for various systems. The Ccas test tests warnings that do not have their own self-test system. The Ccas test panel is located on the left-hand maintenance panel. The Ccas test selector has 8 test positions. We will describe the test procedure for each position together with the associated annunciations. To begin the test, click on the smoke position. Selecting the smoke position activates the master warning system, illuminates the forward smoke, aft smoke and electrical smoke lights on the CAP, and illuminates the maintenance panel light also on the CAP. Before selecting another test position, cancel the master warning. Move the selector to the excess altitude position. Selecting the excess altitude position activates the master warning system and illuminates the excess altitude light. Now clear the master warning to continue. Select the propeller brake position. Selecting the knob to the propeller brake position activates the master warning system and illuminates the propeller brake light on the CAP. Clear the master warning to continue. Select the landing gear not down position. Selecting the knob to the landing gear not down position activates the master warning system, illuminates the landing gear not down light on the CAP, and activates the red light on the landing gear lever. Clear the master warning to continue. You will now start the stick pusher test. First, release the gust lock, which is located just above the power levers, then select the knob to stick pusher yes. Selecting the knob to stick pusher yes activates the stall alarm and the stick shaker, and after 10 seconds illuminates the channel 1 and 2 lights, activates the stick pusher, and illuminates the stick pusher lights on the captain's and first officer's panels. Now select the stick pusher fault position. Selecting the knob to the stick pusher fault position makes the stall alarm and the stick pusher alarm inoperative. After 4 seconds, the fault light appears on the stick pusher push button, activates the master caution system and illuminates the flight control lights. Now select the no position. Selecting the no position extinguishes the fault light on the stick pusher push button, stops the master caution and extinguishes the flight control light. Next, you will test with the horns anti-icing selected. Click on the left horn push button. Selecting a horn anti-icing push button illuminates the icing AOA push button. Triggers the stall alarm and activates the stick shaker. Now deselect both horn push buttons and then the icing AOA push buttons. Your last action has completed the stick pusher part of the test. You must now re-engage the gust lock lever. The gust lock is now engaged. Selecting the VMO position triggers the clacker oral alert. Select the normal flight position when you are ready. You have now completed the Ccas test. Make sure the maintenance panel light has extinguished. Before ending the lesson, you will be presented with some questions. Which position must be selected for the maintenance panel light to extinguish? Where is the Ccas test panel? This lesson covers CCAS failures. Let's first look at a CAC failure indication, such as a DC bus 1 loss, which include illumination of CCAS on the CAP, and the loss of all Level 2 alerts located on the CAP. The crew must monitor the overhead panel. However, Level 3 alerts work normally. The crew alerting computer byte appears when a fault has been detected by the CAC internal monitoring system. Which level of alerts is lost when there is a CAC failure?